بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we are in the year 2 class. Alhamdulillah, we've close to finishing off the Wusta, the video and the whole series. So last year we completed the writing of it, one edited it, and this year we completed. When I was finishing it off, I felt happy. But it's not finished yet, but it's finishing off. So I felt happy. I thought, you know what, I should somebody like me, so it's very small in the book, like nothing. But for me, it's something important because, like, for me to achieve that is like nothing. Big ulama write big books, and it's just, but they're really huge scholars, so they can write big books. We can't write things. Something small, even that's a great achievement for us. Yes. So I thought, I just, I don't know, give a dawah, feed everybody. I done something. I feel alhamdulillah. Then I remembered that a couple of years ago, when we had that one of the classes, they finished off one of their books. They finished off Bidqi. Awamil al-Bidqi, they finished off the Awamil al-Bidqi. So when they finished off the Awamil al-Bidqi, they were quite happy as well. So they gave some gifts. They gave some. They had some. They wanted to give it that. They wanted to give. They gave out some food, smaller snacks. So then I said to them, you know what? Don't make it into a habit. It's not something good because, it keeps on. Like when we finish off books, and it becomes like a custom. And it carries on, and people have it gets more and it gets more, and somebody wants to do this, somebody wants to do that. So I kind of discouraged. And I thought, then that thought came to my mind. I thought, you see, when you're in one position, sometimes you can't see the other person's position. So when they finish off the book, to them it's very important. They felt really happy, they felt accomplished. We finished off one book. The first book we finished at Al-Qalam, they had done year one somewhere else, and they done year two here. So the first book they were finishing off, so they felt happy. So they wanted to show their happiness and their gratitude. And they made got some cake or something, and they gave it out. So I said to them, don't make it a habit, because for me it wasn't that important. I've taught this book like 4 or 5 times, 6 times or whatever. I taught that book so many times, and I done a video. It wasn't that important to me. So to them I said, don't do this. Now when I'm coming, I'm doing it off this another book of mine. I'm feeling happy, so I have the same jazba. You get it? So sometimes, many times, is when something is not when you're mufti, or when you're a scholar, or when you have to, sometimes you will not be able to understand that person's position, where they're coming from, and you're very careful. That's why if it's a farad, farad or qat'iyyat of deen, there's no compromise in this. But sometimes even we have certain guidelines, certain principles, certain things that you abide by, or even something you feel very strongly about a particular masla in fiqh, or very strongly about a particular masla in any academic issue. It's always very to be cautious in where you express these wordings, because you don't know what your opinion could change. Once we were discussing with Mawlana Riyad Haq, so we were sitting there, we were talking about something, and he said he's much older than me, so he got experience. So he was saying something, and he was expressing his opinion, and he said, currently, this is my opinion. And I thought the word currently, that is when you see this person has a lot of experience. Because he was, whatever Muslim it was, and he says, currently, this is my opinion regarding this topic. So that loophole, but that kind of shows ihtiyat, in that experience. I know what things will change. Your different circumstances, different scenarios. You may come to know of something. And I was listening, someone recommended something. I had a question, so someone recommended to me that, listen to this person, or read his book, or listen to his video. So I was listening to him. So it's interesting. But that person is very, very strong, as if nobody else got it right. Everybody got it wrong. So and then you realize, this is not the way to approach something. It's a very interesting discussion you had. So when you have that thing, sometimes you feel very sure. You're doing the research, and you feel very, very strong that this is what the masla is. But when the ulama have ikhtilaf, the ulama of haqq, the ulama who are, the ulama have accepted, the Shawafi, the Hanabila, the Ahnaf, the Malikiya, and other scholars. Within the muhaddithun, we have great muhaddithun. I'm not talking about people who have fringe opinions which are not mu'tabar, but when the ulama of haqq, and the ulama accepted that these are the ulama of the truth, and have difference of opinion, don't go all guns blazing saying, oh yeah, we got it right and this is wrong. You funny. There was once when Mawlana Shaykh al-Gangohi rahmatullah alayhi, he was discussing some topic, and the way he explained the masala and the way he did tanqih of the masala, his students were so impressed. He's like, the way you explain the Hanafi madhab, again, students are students, and they don't really have much. The students, so he said that the way you explain this masala, if Imam Shafi was here, Imam Shafi rahmatullah, he would have to accept your argument. That's what he laughing, because you're Shafi. So he didn't get happy that you have explained it so good. They knew, they understand the reality. He said, if Imam Shafi was here, I wanted to say one word in front of him. That's how the level of his thing. So yes, so you have to understand that. So sometimes we have ulama, or we have scholars, sometimes not even scholars, or some people, they go on YouTube and they're not really well trained, they don't really have a lot of patronship, they don't have a lot of experience. And then masail, which it's like, the khilaf is mu'tabar. The ikhtilaf that the ulama have, and this is like, it's an old masla. There's another sheikh I was watching his videos and his explanation. So before each of the clips, he repeats this clip over and over again. Now we are sitting here in a classroom discussing the difference of scholars in difference of two groups regarding certain masail. There's no point us, it is obviously I'm using he said in Arabic. So he said no point us trying to do tahqeem of who's right and who's wrong. If it was such an obvious masala, they have great ulama on this side, great ulama on this side. If it was such an obvious clear-cut masala, it would have been that if one was haqq and one was batil, it would have been clear by now. The ulama would have expressed this, because these are two groups. We're just here trying to understand the ikhtilaf. And the ulama before, the great ulama, they came to their conclusion based on dalil and istidlal. All we're doing in this classroom is trying to understand why they differed. Understand the differences, the reason of differences. Do you understand? So we must be very, very careful. Yes, when there's clear-cut nusus, or the ulama have done ijma' upon one, all the ulama have done ijma' upon one thing, then we say, this is no compromise in this. But when there's ikhtilaf, or the ulama have different opinions, from the fiqh school, from the aqaid school, from even adab and little, like for example, like Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi, his way of approaching hadith was very, very ta'zeem of the hadith. He would never, but his thing was, he would always narrate hadith in a very thing where he would sit down, he would make sure he's there in the daras, he's sitting down with respect, with honor, with ta'zeem, and then narrate the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He wouldn't narrate it standing up or walking. He would think of this to be a disrespect to the hadith. That was his personal opinion. Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi, he brings a bab, but some say this is kind of to explain that Imam Malik's opinion was only his opinion for his own adab. And he brings, I can't remember the name of the bab, but he says that the bab is the jawad, the permissibility of narrating a hadith when you're standing. So saying that, look, Imam Malik rahmatullahi opinion is very good, it's adab, and that's an a'la. But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he himself explained a fatwa while standing up. So like, even in adab, you have different people. Some people, we see some scholars say, look, when the Quran is being read, absolute silence. We also say the Quran, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا. To have full attention was the Quran. So therefore, don't have it in the background. Only have the Quran on when you're full attention. And then other people will say, well, look, if you have it on in the background, kids will pick it up in their ears. لِغَرْضِ التَّعْلِيم. We're not doing isatul adab qasdan, but we're trying to say, well, if in the background kids are like doing something, it will go into the ears, they will get familiar with it, it makes hifz easy. So even in this adab, you have ikhtilaf. You understand? So both of the maqsid, both of the objective and maqsood is ta'zeem al-Quran and ta'leem al-Quran. One person will say, no, don't have a recording in the background. Only have it in this way, when you say full attention. And others will say, and what's the maqsad? Ta'zeem of the Quran. And the other one saying, I want ta'leem of the Quran, which will lead to ta'leem of the Quran. So both, they have their own ikhtilaf in how do you show respect to the Quran. Do you understand? Some people, they have the thing that you have a book in front of you. This book in front of you should be kept clean, nothing written on top of it. And that's the way the ta'zeem of the book, of the hadith. And others say the ta'zeem of the book is that you engage with the book so much it becomes like part of you. You have your notes nicely written. You feel like this is my nuskha, this is my copy. I've engaged with this book. I've got all my notes. I put all my effort into this book. Some say, no, this I find disrespectful. You're writing in color, you're highlighting. This is not respect to the book. And some people say, no, this is my respect. That I love this book. I love this knowledge. And I want to do what? I want to organize it, structure it, have my notes. And both of them have the same objective. But sometimes, obviously, out of respect for your teacher, we follow whatever he says. We have to understand that there are many times you will find difference of opinion in certain things in the furu of aqidah, not the usul of aqidah, the furu of aqidah, the furu of fiqh, and even what is adab, and so many other things. So what we must do is learn that, to appreciate the ikhtilaf, and also learn that your opinions also change, and don't ever have such a narrow opinion, a narrow mind regarding one particular issue, especially when it's already khilaf. Again, when it's haqq and batil, truth and false, the ulama have done ijma' on something, that this is what it is, then we don't compromise. We're not like wishy-washy and we just say, we go wherever things take us. No, there's certain fundamentals that are never compromised. We always stay on those. But then other things, there's so many other things that don't be, because what happens the majority of times is that you've only studied by one teacher. You studied by one person. So what your teacher has taught you in terms of a particular fiqh, a particular furu', a particular way of adab, that's the only thing you do, and you're trying to implement that on everybody else. You understand? Imam Malik, rahmatullah alayhi, one of the Khalifa his time, he was so impressed with Imam Malik's Muwatta that he said that I want to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Muwatta of your Muwatta of Imam Malik, I'm going to take your Muwatta and I'm going to make it nafid, that this is the how the deen will be taught throughout the kingdom, throughout the Khilafah. Imam Malik said, no, leave the people. People have received the aqwal of different ulama, different tabi'in. Don't try to force everybody onto one. The people who are doing other things, the other people who have other sound sources, we can't force our one opinion onto everybody else. Yes, this is not in the usul, the main fundamentals, but in terms of the furu of fiqh, Imam Malik said, leave everybody. Everybody has got their own aqwal. Everybody has got their own, from their scholars, read the Prophet ﷺ. So leave everybody as they are. So you have to be able to understand this. And even in fara'is, even adab, even in your personal opinions in day-to-day, they change. But as long as, don't be wishy-washy, but when it comes, you have daleel or you have things open up in front of you, then, have that. So never ever have this thing that, no, this is it, and it never ever change. Because then you find yourself, later on that, what? Yeah, that was also, I understand where they're coming from. And then sometimes you have to put yourself in their perspective of the person who is involved in this. So the same way, for example, as I said before, when I said that a couple of years ago, to me it was like, okay, it's a small book. Why? They were so happy. That's why they wanted to share the happiness. And again, it's not right or wrong. Now I'm thinking, I'm happy because I've achieved something. So I want to share my happiness with all the students. But then I remember I said that a long time ago. So never ever do ta'alli upon or azm, upon things which are not that important or not that fundamental, which can change. Okay, so everybody's wondering, are we going to get some food or not? Because when the video finishes, is it going to do amal upon the old fatwa, the new fatwa? Even Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi, he has al-qawl al-qadim and al-qawl al-jadid in some of his books. His early opinion was this, and later opinion was this. Imam Abu Yusuf rahmatullah alayhi, regarding certain masail, when he moved to Rai, he changed it. When he saw different things, a different perspective opened up in front of him, he said that this is ghalida. He moved to another city, he saw what is mubtala, people are involved in a lot of difficulty, he made it to khafifa. So things change. So it doesn't mean that you just pick and choose everywhere here and there, or you become wishy-washy and don't have a firm fundamental, but it's that you stick upon what you have been taught, and after research, and sometimes research, experience, life experiences, perspectives, circumstances, things can change. So have that. But again, don't be like wishy-washy that everything's okay, everything's halal, everybody's okay. Don't be like that. But trying to keep a moderation between being too strict and being too loose. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us ability to act upon this. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.